Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are off to a fantastic start. Got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 NBA player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's NBA slate. And we're coming off a so-so week where we didn't do terrible, but we also didn't do great. A lot of like 2-2 nights where we won 2, lost 2. Little loss in the unit standpoint, like Saturday, for example, our last video out. 2-2, but we lost like 0.4 units. So like I said, not a terrible week, but I definitely know we can do better than what we did last week. So let's go ahead and prove that to you guys, starting with today. 4 player props coming your way right now. Jumping right into the outlier screen, guys. Our first player prop from today's slate comes from the Utah Jazz Charlotte Hornets game, 7 p.m. tip-off. We've got Keontae George of the Utah Jazz over 22.5 points plus assists. We're getting this one for minus 106 odds over on FanDuel. But of course, as always, guys, this player prop is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. Make sure to go ahead and shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. And also, just to clarify, because I've seen a lot of people in the comments over the last week or so talking about this, these are all meant to be singular bets. Now, of course, you can do whatever you'd like with them. My job here is just to provide you with the insight and the analysis behind good player props, or potentially good player props, I should say. At the end of the day, it's up to you guys what you want to do with them. If you want to parlay them all together, you want to take a couple and put them in your parlay, that's 100% up to you. But these, as they stand, are meant to be singular bets. That's how I'm betting them. That's how I recommend betting them. But of course, it's 100% up to you. But all right, guys, Keontae George over 22.5 points plus assists. Now, I'll be honest, the data is not very fantastic because this is a bench player who, due to injuries and circumstance, could potentially see a nice uptick in minutes. As you can see here, obviously, Colin Sexton, he's a game-time decision. He got hurt over the weekend in that loss against the Denver Nuggets on Friday. And obviously, with him being out, Keontae George, a very good candidate, very likely candidate, I should say, to enter the starting lineup for Utah. Now, not just Colin Sexton. They have a lot of injuries right now. Obviously, Utah in sort of the tanking category. Jordan Clarkson out. John Collins out. Walker Kessler out. Lauri Markkanen out. A lot of guys out. I think, personally, based off what I'm reading here from everything, he's listed as questionable. It sounds like he's probably not going to play, which obviously means more minutes and more opportunities for Keontae George, which is why I'm betting this player prop. Now, the overall numbers, again, not fantastic. Just 5 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 20.6 points plus assists per game over the last 10 games. If you do go ahead and stretch the data out to the last 20, it's not terrible. 55% hit rate, 11 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 22.7 points plus assists per game over his last 20 games. So the recent data here is fine. It's just the overall data, when you go ahead and further stretch it out, it's not great. 45% hit rate this year for Keontae George, just 27 out of 60 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 22.38 points plus assists per game overall this year. And looking at the head-to-head data, just one of his last 3 matchups against the Hornets, he's cashed the over. Now, the most important piece of this, however, is the fact that he played one time this year, back on January 15th, and he did cash the over, 26 points and 6 assists the last time they played Charlotte, which is a major cash for Keontae George. Another reason why I like this player prop. We have seen him versus Charlotte this year and have success versus this Hornets team. And looking at the minutes played, he didn't play like a ridiculous amount of minutes either. 30.6 minutes in that game. Just had a really solid performance. He took 22 shots too, left a lot of opportunities on the table there. 9 for 22, not a very good shooting night, but yeah, he still cashed the over with flying colors, had 9 potential assists, finished with 6. So pretty good performance their last time out versus Charlotte. And again, we're talking about all the injuries. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of things here. Obviously, shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video. There is a link down below in the description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to check this out for yourself. Outlier is the best sports betting tool that money can buy, and it gives you so many cool features and tools to find good sports bets, good player props, good picks, everything. So make sure to go ahead and check that out. Link down below in the description. 7-day free trial here. We're going to go ahead and put a filter to show what the data looks like when certain guys are out. So let's go ahead and put John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, and we'll do Kessler because those are like they're mainly their starting guys, right? So all 4 of those guys out. What does the numbers look like for Keontae George? Well, it's pretty good. He's played 6 games this year with all 4 of those guys being out. Those 4 guys have all been ruled out for today's game, obviously. 4 of 6 games, 67% hit rate, averaging 26.17 points plus assists per game in the 6 games without those guys. So some pretty good numbers without them. You look at his potential assists have gone up. His field goal attempts pretty consistently high. Not shooting the ball that well, which obviously is less than ideal, but the volume of shots is certainly there, and playing about 32.2 minutes per game in those 6 games without those guys. And you see in this month of March, already half of those games have come just this month. Now let's go ahead and clear that out, and I want to look at the numbers without Colin Sexton this season. So we'll go ahead and take this. We'll do just Colin Sexton, nobody else. All right, look at this year without Colin Sexton. 67% hit rate, 10 out of 15 games without Colin Sexton. He's cashed the over, averaging 26.4 points plus assists per game this year without Sexton. And again, head-to-head wise, the last time he played Charlotte, he had no Colin Sexton. He cashed the over. So obviously Sexton being there, or not being there, I should say, is a big factor here. But even if he is there, I still think that he has a pretty good chance to go ahead and cash the over just because of the opportunities. Now let's go ahead and see Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson, both of their primary guards. And you see a 75% hit rate, 6 out of 8 games this year. Without those two, he's cashed the over, averaging 28.75 points plus assists per game. And again, the only 2 misses, very narrow misses. So if Colin Sexton is out, I think this play becomes a massive smash the button throw, like a unit and a half on. I think it's a fantastic spot. The Hornets versus point guards, they rank in the bottom half of the league in points allowed, middle of the road in assists allowed. Even if you go ahead and narrow it down to the last 7 games, Charlotte still ranks pretty poorly defensively versus point guards, to the point where actually look down here. Now some of these are bench guys, to be fair, but you do see a couple of greens there, a couple of Emmanuel Quickly, who we actually bet that day, SGA, Davion Mitchell. Some point guards have had some success when playing the Hornets. So I think it's a good spot. Obviously, Colin Sexton's injury is a big part of this. I still like the play, even if Sexton does suit up, because he is obviously not 100%. I think Keontae George will still get enough minutes with Colin Sexton playing that he should still have a pretty good chance to cash the over. But obviously, if Sexton is ruled out, this becomes an automatic smash play. Now, obviously, the downside of this, you have to kind of bet it early, because if Sexton is ruled out, I do think this line goes up a couple points. That's obviously the risk you're going to take if you want to go ahead and take it earlier and run the risk that Sexton could play. Maybe it's not as great of a play. Totally up to you guys, but I do think it's worth taking a look at. So that's our first player prop in today's slate. I promise, guys, not every player prop in today's video will take a 6-minute explanation, but that player prop, obviously, with the data being as poor as it was, I had to explain why I liked it. So our second player prop in today's slate, not as much explanation required for this one. Moving on to Celtics Grizzlies, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. We got John Morant over 34.5 points plus rebounds plus assists against the Boston Celtics. Minus 145 right now over on DraftKings. This line is going up. It opened at 33.5. It's now up to 35.5. We're taking it at 34.5 for minus 145. But I think this line could keep going up and up. The numbers are pretty good. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, including 5 straight games. He's averaging 44.4 PRAs per game over his last 5 games. So some pretty good numbers there. And the overall number is not great for Ja, just a 50% hit rate on the season, averaging 33.98 PRAs per game this year. But again, the recent run he's on right now, really solid. And obviously, I do think the firing of Taylor Jenkins helps Ja potentially. Ja obviously complaining about the offense under him. There were a lot of issues. Him being gone, we'll see what that means for John Morant. If it increases his, he played obviously the Lakers. That was his first game coming back without Taylor Jenkins. Had a pretty solid performance, 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists against the Lakers. But pretty good numbers for Ja. Head-to-head wise, we only have 1 game in the data range for the last 2 years. You do see that he's played them 1 time this year back on December 7th. He had a really solid game, 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists against Boston. However, if you go beyond the last couple seasons, he's actually done this line pretty consistently against the Boston Celtics with a lot of success. Again, unfortunately, Outlier only shows us this year and last year. But if you go beyond last year, when John Morant was still kind of early in his career, before all the the gun stuff and all that, and the injury problems, Ja was killing the Celtics consistently. So I do think it's a pretty good matchup spot. The Celtics defensively versus point guards, they've been better over the last 15 games or so. But the overall numbers versus point guards, they're 24th in points allowed, 25th in rebounds, and 7th in assists. We have seen this year with certain point guards, the premier point guards like your SGAs, they can find success when playing the Boston Celtics. I think Drew Holiday is still a great defensive player, but at this point in his career, I just think guarding players like a Ja Morant could be a difficult thing for them. I think it's a pretty good matchup here. Minus 145 for a reason. Solid player prop. Worth putting a little extra value on that. All right, guys, and our third player prop in today's slate, backed by popular demand, Bulls, Thunder, 8 p.m. tip-off. We are officially lifting the ban on Josh Giddey. That's right. We are bringing him back from the dead, out of the do not bet graveyard. Josh Giddey, welcome back. You get one opportunity. If he doesn't cash for us tonight, he probably goes back into the graveyard. Josh Giddey over 18.5 points, which we're getting for minus 128 odds over on FanDuel. Look, I'm a sucker for a revenge game, and there's no way with Josh Giddey returning to Oklahoma City to play his former team, there's no way I would not bet this player prop for Josh Giddey. Of course, now the downside is I think everybody's probably going to be on this line because Giddey has been playing well lately. He is returning against the Thunder. I'm not the only person in the world who thought, hey, he's returning to his former team. He's going to have a big game. He's going to be extra motivated. Yeah, it might be a bit of a sucker bet, but I'm a sucker, so I'll go ahead and take it. Pause. Not in that way. Don't do that. Josh Giddey over 18.5 points. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 20.7 points per game. He is coming off a pretty rough game his last time out versus Dallas, where he just didn't play all that well, had a bad shooting night. But overall, he's been on a really great run for the Bulls lately. Go ahead and stretch the data out to the last 20 games. 14 of his last 20, 70% hit rate, averaging 20.3 points per game. Basically from a little bit before the All-Star break and beyond, he's been on a really great run. And I do think getting rid of Zach LaVine and and obviously the Desonma injury kind of opened up some more opportunities for Giddey. And also, this Bulls team has been very, very scrappy. Guys like Buzelis and Giddey stepping up has made the Bulls a really interesting team over the second half of the season. Now, the downside of this is if you do go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the entire season view, it's not great. Now, to be fair, this line at 18.5, it would not have been there at this point in the year back in November when he was, coming off the bench. The minutes were obviously not nearly the same. Look at the minutes played down below here. For Josh Giddey early in the season. I mean, still playing decent minutes, 27.9, but look at lately. Like, he's playing some of these games like 37, 38 minutes. So he's been pretty consistent all year long in terms of he gets playing time, but obviously the overall numbers not great for Josh Giddey. Even though he's playing minutes, the opportunities, the shot volume, everything has increased now because obviously one of the big reasons being Zach LaVine. Obviously, LaVine took a lot of shots. Him being gone opened up a lot of things. Ayo Dosunmu being hurt. It just opened up way more opportunities there for Giddey. So the overall numbers not great, but obviously the recent numbers are so solid that it's worth taking a look at here. Now, this is not his first time playing the Thunder since joining the Bulls. They did play very early in the year back on October 26th in Chicago. He had 14 points. It was only like his second game with the Bulls, maybe his third game. I don't remember how. It was very early in the season, obviously. He had 14 points in 26 minutes. He didn't shoot the ball fantastic. 6 for 14, not terrible. But it was very early with the Bulls, very different circumstance back then versus now. Now, the Thunder overall this year, they are ranked number 1 in the NBA in defense versus point guards. If you do go ahead and narrow it down to the last 7 games, they aren't, I'd say, a great matchup, but they're not like as good as they are from the overall sense. I still think they're about middle of the road to slightly top half of the league over the last 7 games. So it's not a great defensive matchup for Josh Giddey, but I do think obviously returning to Oklahoma City, seeing that former team, seeing his teammates, I do think he's going to be motivated to have a big game here, and he's been playing very well lately. One last point before we move on to our final player prop in today's slate. I wanted to show you guys the numbers this year for Josh Giddey when Desonma is not playing, and we'll also go ahead and put Zach LaVine here just to go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about from an opportunity standpoint. And you see here, he's played 13 games this season without Ayo Dosunmu and without Zach LaVine. 9 of those 13 games he's cashed the over. That's a 69. Pause for a mother effing applause. Come on, 69, Josh Giddey. That's funny. It's funny for any age group, minus maybe under 15, I guess, 14. But 69% hit rate for Josh Giddey overall this year. Without Zach LaVine and without Ayo Dosunmu, obviously LaVine's in the Kings, Dosunmu's out for the season, so that definitely goes in our favor. And like I talked about, the opportunities, it definitely goes up. Look at this season, 14 shot attempts per game, playing 33.6 minutes per game, taking more threes. If you go ahead and do the opposite now, right? We go ahead and take these two out, and we put games played with Ayo Dosunmu and with Zach LaVine. We'll go ahead and put that. Where's Zach LaVine? I guess I got to put. Sorry, you're seeing a little behind the scenes here. All right, Zach LaVine. There we go. All right, look at the games with those two. 7% hit rate. 2 of 29 games played with those two. He cashed the over and averaged 11.28 points per game. Now go down below. The minutes were still high, right? 27.7 minutes. He was only taking 9.8 shots per game. He's taking 1 3 less per game, about 5 shots fewer per game. He also just wasn't making a ton. So when those two guys played, he really just did not play all that well. Obviously, those two being gone really helps him. So not the best match of all time from a defensive standpoint, but it's Josh Giddey returning to Oklahoma City. He's been playing very well lately. I love this player prop. I don't think I love it. I definitely love this player prop. Minus 128 odds. That's our third player prop in today's slate. And guys, if you are watching this point in today's video, we do have one player prop left. Go ahead and comment Giddy down below. Let's go ahead and ride with our guy. You know what? We were harsh on him early in the year. We put him in the no bet list. We put him in the no bet graveyard. Let's go ahead and bring him back from the dead. Comment Giddy down below if you are watching at this point in today's video. As always, we appreciate those who watch through each and every single video here on the channel. All right, guys, on our fourth and final player prop in today's slate, we're moving on to the Rockets-Lakers game, 10 p.m. tip-off. We're going Luka Doncic over 29.5 points. Like I talked about on Saturday, I am addicted to taking Luka scoring props. Now, it did bite us in the ass on Saturday. We had him over 30.5 points. He finished with 29, just barely missed the mark there. But the numbers are good. We're getting this line at 29.5, so not as high as it was the other night. And for minus 108 odds on FanDuel, too, available on a lot of sports books for varying odds. Pretty good value here. And again, we talked about on Saturday, the recent run he's on with the Lakers, pretty solid. 6 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 30.6 points per game over his last 10. The overall numbers, again, they're not great. 49% hit rate, 21 out of 43 games this year. He's cashed the over, averaging 27.84 points per game this year. I'm saying not great, like averaging almost 28 points per game is a bad thing. But in terms of cashing this line, in terms of 30-point games, he's had 21 games this year with at least 30 points, which obviously is really good. Most players would kill for that, but obviously when it comes to this player prop, it's not the best. But that's okay. I still like it. The recent data obviously is pretty solid. And from a head-to-head standpoint, 3 of his last 4 matchups against the Rockets, he cashed the over. That's a 75% hit rate, averaging 38.5 points per game over his last 4 matchups with Houston. Luka has gone off sometimes when playing the Rockets. 41 back on November 28th of last year. 47 on March 31st. A year ago today, he had 47 points against Houston. And then April 7th of last year, 37 points. All as a member of the Dallas Mavericks, totally fair, and including the one time they played this year back on October 31st, very early in the year, he just missed the mark with 29 points in that loss to Houston. Missed it by literally 1 point. But over the last 4 games, the fewest points he's had versus them is 29 points. I like to see that mark. Houston overall, pretty solid defensive team, but versus point guards, bottom 3 in the NBA overall this year, giving up just shy of 26 points per game to opposing point guards. And if you do go ahead and narrow the data down to the last 7 games or so, it's not as good as this, but they're still bottom half of the league in points allowed to the point guard position. So although recently the Rockets have been better defensively versus point guards, I still think it's a good matchup for Luka. He's had a lot of success when playing this Rockets team over the last couple of years. So that's our fourth and final player prop in today's slate. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, guys, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another NBA player prop video. And tomorrow, actually, obviously being April 1st of the month, we'll have our April ladder challenge kicking off in tomorrow's video. So make sure to go ahead and tune in for that. But until then, guys, hope you're all winners. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Let's go ahead and make some money.